about something that is actually happening in our country this day. I would like to introduce them. With me on my right is Sarah Moses. She's an on-air personality. She's an entrepreneur and she's also a human rights activist. You're welcome, Miss.
Thank you very much.
And also with me is Mr. Minstrel Emmanuel. Nice to meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you too.
He's an award-winning music artist. He's also an entrepreneur and is a biologist.
Biologist, thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Okay, today we will be discussing this increasing rate of rape in our country. And I would like to ask Miss Moses, when can we say a sexual act is actually a rape?
Okay, thank you very much for having me. We would say a sexual act is rape when it is forcefully taken, whenever you illegally have sex with someone against their wish or against their will, it is considered as rape.
Oh, illegally you said, right?
Yeah, unlawful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, like forceful, like you just said. What are the after effects of rape? Yes. What are the things that that happens to these ladies? How do they feel, Mr. Minstrel?
Okay, first, there is this self-damnation that comes upon the person who, becomes raped. There's this constant appearance that keep coming to the person per time, trauma like that, emotional trauma that comes up, per time, and because it wasn't properly dealt with when it happened, it can actually make the person have a low life or a low self-esteem, or hence bringing them into a difficult situation when it comes to expressing themselves in the public at times, with one or two responsibilities they're supposed to take. So most particularly that damnating nature that it brings upon the person who is raped is one major effect of rape.
Okay, there are quite a number of causes of rape, okay, in Nigeria and in the world at large. Well, one is exposure to modernity. The world is changing, right? Things are happening, and then everybody wants to be modernized, yeah? And then there are certain things we see on TV that are not good for not only children, even for adults. So you see, these things have negative impact on individuals. For instance, there are certain advertisements of sexuality, I don't know what to say. But then there are certain things we see, certain advertisements we see on television. There are also things we see on newspapers, magazines, and they are not supposed to be there because anybody could just pick up this magazine, anybody could pick up the newspaper to possibly go through some news, and then you see an advert of maybe bikini, or you see an advert of condom. And when you keep putting these things in the minds of the young ones out there, they will begin to digest it, and as they are digesting these things, it will begin to make this evil thought to creep into their minds, thereby making them to think of engaging in sex. And if they don't get it, they will go on to rape. Not only that, another cause is peer group influence. The peer group play a very vital role in the lives of the young ones, adolescents. And then when you are a friend of a rapist, you become a rapist.
Of course.
Literally do. Well, when you have a friend that tells you to please go and check if somebody is coming, he wants to do stuff, you might not be the one directly engaging in it, but sometime after finishing that thing he's doing, he might ask you to come and test. Thereby, you've also engaged in rape.
Okay, Like, let's say, sometimes they blame it on skimpy dressing,
Yeah.
decent dressing, and like some blaming on alcohol influence, like I drank a lot
Yeah,
and
yeah.
this will happen. And some say their parent did teach them this or that. Who should we blame on this? The alcohol, decent dressing, parents? Let me say, Mr. Yes, Mr. Mitchell,
Well,
let's hear from you.
when it comes to whom to blame, for rape, in as much as we are citing all the causes of rape and all the things that we, think are, responsible for rape, I believe anybody who commits a particular offense or who does anything or takes part in a particular action should be able to be up or responsible for their actions. I cannot, come short or have a shortcoming or maybe do something very bad and then you're not looking for somebody to blame because of the bad things I've done. If I did something bad, I should take the blame personally for what I did. I should be able to say that what I did was wrong. So when it comes to finding whom to blame, a whole lot of the whole blame should be on the person who was involved in the action,
Okay.
and not any other secondary option.
Okay. Okay. Talking about alcohol, I'm going to say no. Alcohol should not be a reason, or you shouldn't leverage on the fact that you were drunk, and that
Okay.
is why
Okay.
you raped someone.
Yes.
That is why it is advisable not to get drunk. Of course, we can't stop you, or the society or the government cannot stop you from drinking. But drink, don't be drunk. When you are drunk, you lose your senses and then you start to do things that are on the right mind, or in the right mind rather, you won't do it. So that is why it is important, don't get drunk. Then concerning indecent dressing, yes. Ladies, yes, it's your body and you choose to dress the way you want to. But I want you to know that dressing indecently can attract men to you. And then you won't blame a man that sees the things he saw and then decides to go after you. He approaches you and then you decline, and then he decides to forcefully take what he wants. Don't you think that the way you dressed was what actually prompted him into, having the thoughts and then wanting to do stuff like that? So it is advisable that we watch the way we dress, that we take into cognizance that our dressing matters a lot.
Okay, so you just said something about the decent dressing, that we should cover ourselves and all that. Now I'm talking about what happens to these Muslim ladies who are well dressed? We're in the north right now.
Yep.
They are well dressed, like from head to toe, and then they are still raped. And what happened to babies on diapers? What happened to what their uncles are doing to them? Their brothers, their father's friend doing to them? What happened to school kids, like in the nursery, like primary? What happened to them? They're not indecently dressed. So what will you say about them? What will we say about them? What will we say about this?
Okay. So what I would say about this now is that all this boils down to lack of discipline by parents. It is the responsibility of every parent to ensure that their children are being taught and trained. That is where the family comes in. This is the first education they get. So it is important for parents to tell their male children, even the females too, tell your children about the consequences of rape, why it is inappropriate to rape, and why you shouldn't be caught or engage in such acts. Okay, so one other thing is mishandling of rape cases. This can cause people to engage in the act of rape, because if it is reported to the authorities that are supposed to, investigate these crimes, and then they don't investigate it properly, or somebody comes to report a rape case, and then there's this rigorous line that the person is supposed to follow in order to confirm that actually the person was raped. You have to go to the hospital to get a report, medical report. You have to go to the police station to get a report. You have to do this and do that before they can agree that yes, you were actually raped. If I am the one, for instance, I'll be like, I can't go through all this stress because I was raped, and then if I go to the hospital, people will be looking at me, what happened to you? Then I'll start telling my story of how I was raped. Go to the police station, they'll start interrogating you. You know, it can make some people, you know, want to push forward. But then, if these things are not appropriately investigated by the police, it will make people to continue to engage in this evil act called rape.
That's very true. That's very true. Okay, like let's say, you know, sometimes they blaming on skimpy dressing,
Yeah.
decent dressing, and like some blaming on alcohol influence, like I drank a lot
Yeah,
and
yeah.
this will happen, and some say their parent didn't teach them this or that. Should we blame? Who should we blame on this? The alcohol, decent dressing, parents? Let me tell Mr. Yes, the Mr.
Well,
Let's hear from you.
when it comes to whom to blame, you know, for rape, in as much as we are citing all the causes of rape, and all the things that we, you know, think are, you know, responsible for rape, I believe anybody who commits a particular offense or who does anything or takes part in a particular action should be able to be up or responsible for their actions. And I cannot, you know, come short or have a shortcoming or maybe do something very bad and then you're not looking for somebody to blame because of the bad things I've done. If I did something bad, I should take the blame personally for what I did. You know, I should be able to say that what I did was wrong. So when it comes to finding whom to blame, a whole lot of the whole blame should be on the person who was involved in the action and not any other secondary option.
Okay, okay, talking about alcohol, I'm going to say no. Alcohol should not be a reason, or you shouldn't leverage on the fact that you were drunk and that is why you raped someone. That is why it is advisable not to get drunk. Of course, we can't stop you, or the society or the government cannot stop you from drinking. But drink, don't be drunk. When you are drunk, you lose your senses and then you start to do things that on the right mind, or in the right mind rather, you won't do it. So that is why it is important, don't get drunk.
Heard it all from our guest speakers today. I want to thank you so much for staying with us. So once again, this is Miss Sarah Moses.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Thank
It was
you
nice
for
having you.
Thank you.
And to Mr. Emmanuel, it was
Thank
nice
you so
having
much.
you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This is us from Inside Kanu saying, say no to rape. Once again, I am Benita Samuel.